From the SportsLink studios on the campus of Ball State University, this is SportsLink Stories presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. I'm Charlie Maurer, that's Emma Potter. Emma, great to have you back. And sadly, this is the last show of the 2023-24 academic year.
Charlie, it's been a crazy year. We've had so many awesome stories being told this year, including even more today, including a former Ball State football player who is a three-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, a lot to get to on this show here in the month of May, but first, let's say hi to our sponsor, Victory Honda of Muncie.
To catch the best stories in Ball State sports every month, tune in to the award-winning show, SportsLink Stories presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. Victory Honda of Muncie is proud to support the creative storytellers of Ball State SportsLink.
First up in the month of May for SportsLink Stories, we take you to the links and focusing on the women's golf team. SportsLink's own Rachel Henderson gives you a look into freshman Madelyn Young's life and her impact on and off the course.
It's inspiring to see her kind of take all of that and doesn't even think twice about it, and everyone else would probably be collapsing under the pressure if they were in the same situation.
I knew about her when I was coaching at Taylor, and then as soon as I got the job here at Ball State, we scheduled things pretty quickly, and she was the first visit that we had once I became the coach. And then her swing coach, John, I'd called him to get his perspective on her, and I think he's the first person that mentioned, oh yeah, she actually runs a business on the side, she's got some rental properties, and I was like, wait, hold up, what?
My parents have done rentals since I was a little kid. They're the ones that taught me all of it. There's pictures of me everywhere with a little computer watching movies or even helping. And I've always kind of wanted to do it because, I mean, I've learned so much. Like, I know how to tile a floor, I know how to put up drywall. And so I've always known that I have these tools, why not use them? And so I started my rental business my sophomore year of high school. There was this trailer park that my grandparents own, and they were gonna tear it down, but I convinced them to let me take it over. I renovated it, and then I rented it out, and I paid it off within a year, and that's how it all started.
Maddy made a clutch putt on the 9th hole.
I met Maddy in February of last year, so about a year ago now, and met on social media, which is originally how I found out that she has businesses. And I thought it was awesome, just in general, being in high school and having businesses. Like, that's crazy. It's not something that a lot of people can say. It's very inspiring, knowing how successful she's gonna be in everything just because she has that drive to do that kind of thing.
I do remember distinctly at one point back in the winter, we were practicing in here in the EY, and she was like, hey coach, I know we've got our meeting coming up in a little bit. I might have to step out just a little bit early because I'm closing on one of my houses, and I've got a call with my attorney. And I just remember being like, that is not a normal conversation for a freshman in college to be having.
Whenever she signed on her house, we were actually in a team meeting, and so she called her mom whenever they signed, but that's just like, that's a very big milestone in your life, and to have to be there for the team rather than kind of experiencing that for yourself was definitely hard for her.
The house I just bought is in my hometown. I've always wanted to live close to my parents, and so I live here, my grandparents live here, and then there's two houses right here. And the house right here I knew I wanted to buy because it's in a good location. It's right next to the golf course. And so when it did come up for sale, the lady brought a paper over to our house, and I sent an offer to her through email, and then she accepted it that day.
It's an honor to know her, especially at this point in my life. She is probably one of the strongest people I know, just mentally, physically too. She's very, very strong. You know, having to deal with the legal stuff of everything, like having a business, and It's also fast-paced, kind of like a game of golf is, so I think that it's kind of helped her because if she's having a bad day on the golf course, she's like, this is nothing compared to what I do outside of this, so it just kind of keeps her in a good mindset.
I give a lot of credit to her parents for, empowering her to be this type of person. And, I've got 2 daughters. Like, I hope that they're like this when they are 18, 19 years old. I hope that they're responsible and take ownership and aren't afraid to go and be a business owner. I think it's a really cool thing. I think it's going to serve her really well just in the next 3 years here as a member of our team.
There's little things that can go wrong when renovating anything. So when I'm renovating, I have to learn that there's always a new solution, there's always a next step. It's not just over, and that's the same with golf. Like, one bad shot, it's not over. I can make up for it. So I've kind of put 2 stressful things and learned from both because they're both very stressful, especially golf.
A standout in his time here at Ball State, 3-time Pro Bowler Timmy Brown made his mark not only here, but also in the NFL. Produced by Braden Carroll and Joel McChesney, here is his story.
Here's the opening kickoff with Lou Groza belting the ball 5 yards deep into the Eagle end zone. Timmy Brown takes it, and 60,000 spectators come to their feet as Tim weaves through the first wave of Browns, skips away from a tackler at the 30, gets a diving block from Dick Lucas at the 50, and sprints all the way for a 105-yard touchdown.
If you could summarize the life and the man of Timmy Brown in one sentence, one thought, how would you?
Incredible.
At the home, Timmy excelled in athletics, running track and dominating as a running back on the football team and a basketball star on the court. There he would earn scholarships to schools like Michigan State, but he would wound up committing to Ball State, where he would walk on to once again play football.
Well, at the college level, when he left Ball State, he held 6 records. And of the 6 records, one still stands. He scored 25 points in a single game.
He seemed to be a very positive person when I got to know him later in life. He was so atypical of the type of athlete that we see today, given the fact that he was an entertainer, a singer, an actor, and a wonderful, wonderful football player. Well, he might be the prototypical Ball State student, right? First generation college student, came from a very difficult background and attained great success.
Timmy Brown would set 6 Cardinal records at Ball State. He would average 10 yards a game his senior year, earn all conference honors, and garner the attention of another humble football program, this one hailing from the frozen tundra of Green Bay.
Well, they saw he was fast. And if you look at his performance during the preseason and the one game, he showed all the attributes of having great talent.
Lombardi would cut Timmy Brown, and Timmy Brown would return to Ball State to finish his bachelor's degree, with his football career behind him, until a fateful call and a fateful message from some folks in Philadelphia.
He was invited to the taxi squad to play that year for the Eagles, but he didn't. Now, he got redemption the next year against the Packers because in the NFL championship game, which that was when in 1960 when Super Bowls were not played then. It was the only time Lombardi got beaten in a game like that. Also in 1960, what the Eagles realized that they had really found someone with talent, although he didn't play that much. He set a record that year. He was the first person in history to, in 2 consecutive games, have over 100 yards, and have a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. He became a 3-time Pro Bowl player, led the league in rushing, but mainly he enjoyed football more. He said he looked at colors. He didn't see people on the field, he saw colors and he ran away from the colors. And he said that worked for him. He always thought every time the ball was kicked to him on a kickoff that he was going to run it back for a touchdown.
Timmy would play his final season in 1968, signing with the Baltimore Colts and playing in Super Bowl III, a loss to the New York Jets. After 9 years in the NFL, Timmy Brown's time on the gridiron had come to an end. But his time in the public limelight was far from over.
He was in the first 6 episodes of MASH, the TV series. That was one of the longest lasting series in history. He was also in the movie MASH, one of only two actors who were in both. He was in about 13 other movies. So he had some success. He recorded 6 singles in Philadelphia. He always laughed. He said, yeah, but the Beatles came to town. So our R&B started to disappear a bit at that time, so it wasn't particularly good luck for him.
Alongside being in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame, Timmy Brown would be inducted into the first Ball State Sports Hall of Fame.
The Eagles have him in their Honor Roll Hall of Fame. Philadelphia City has him in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. He also is recognized by the Eagles on the 75th anniversary team. For the most part, he simply lived his life as a retired human being. That's all he did. He didn't speak on circuits. He didn't play in celebrity golf tournaments anymore. He had been married. He had a son. He was a father. So that's pretty much the end of his life. Was a pretty simple life.
In April of 2020, Timmy Brown passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 82. His story, documented in Roy Weaver's Running Against the Grain, allows his legacy to survive while we wait for more marks in his memory.
Does anybody compare to Timmy Brown?
I don't think anybody compares with Timmy Brown. I think Timmy stands alone above a lot of really good players, but what he was able to do at his time and his era, given the way that sports has developed. And think about when he played, there was no Sunday TV for football. There was no national coverage of football. The NFL was in its infancy, and he was able to dominate in the game.
Tim was just a wonderful human being. He was easygoing, he was easy to get along with, he was honest, trustworthy, and talented. He had all these skills. He had skills in acting, broadcasting, sports. And so he was a very talented person, but he was so likable.
Do I think that Timmy Brown is the best player in football in the history of Ball State football? The answer is yes.
In my opinion, there's no question about it. And if you also look at his record in track, as his junior and senior years, he was outstanding in track and field too. But he clearly, in my opinion, is based on the records, is the most outstanding player that's ever played here.
Emma Eubank and Hannah Dukeman, 2 members of Ball State softball, but not only that, both winners of the Heart of the Cardinal Award at the 2024 Chirpies for their impact that they had off of the field. Nate Locker, a freshman in SportsLink, brings you their story.
Just smile. It's a simple suggestion. When you see people smiling, what do you think about them? That person's enjoying life. They seem happy. But what if they aren't? What if they're just trying to hide the pain that looms over their lives? Or what if smiling is the key to unlocking a simple truth about life? It's what you choose to do with that smile that makes life worthwhile.
Emma and I actually have been roommates since day one here at the dorms as a freshman. It's just grown from there. We're right off campus now in a house with 3 other softball teammates. It's just grown since the beginning, and I couldn't imagine a life in college without her being my roommate.
We obviously got in contact over social media, which was really nice. She asked me what I was doing or what I wanted to do. And of course, I'm kind of a nerd, so I Snapchatted her back, I'm going through this class and I've made my own cancer treatment.
I had no idea what she was saying. It was all these scientific names, and I was like, okay, so she's in science. Then obviously when we got on campus, we started talking about we're taking similar classes, kind of realizing, okay, we have a similar passion.
Once I found out she wanted to be kind of like an oncologist, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to do the lab research side of things. So we kind of, grew in that aspect. That was a really big moment, I think, for us, honestly, even if it was over social media. But then getting here, it was honestly awesome. It was an instant connection. I love her with everything in me.
What I think was really interesting is how they actually had different ideas for how they wanted to get involved in the cancer field. I thought that was really cool. We had two different angles on such a powerful initiative.
Friendship is a simple joy that can make the worst of times a bit more bearable. On the other hand, pain is a part of life, and the loss of a loved one is unfortunate yet inevitable. But a friendship with shared and empathized pain, that's unbreakable.
I feel like as I got into middle school and high school and started to mature, I kind of realized that yeah, there's a person in my life that I never got to meet, and he has had a huge impact on my life without even being here. My Uncle Timmy, he passed away from pediatric brain cancer at the age of 14. I always felt like there was a piece of my family missing. My mom and her sisters constantly miss him, and I know my grandma and grandpa as well. I know my grandma, she kind of lost faith through it all, and I know it impacted her a great deal, and I know my grandpa as well, because that was the only child they had together. I know my mom and her sisters probably struggled with seeing him go through all of his treatments and the amount of effects it had on him as a child. I know once you get those treatments, you can't really go on with your life as you did once before. So I think that kind of had a huge impact on the way they saw him in his last moments. You ask that question, like, what if? What if he was here? What would he be like? And I know my mom and her sisters probably asked the same question, as well as my grandparents.
I grew up super close with my grandparents. They lived only about 25 minutes away from my house. We spent every Sunday there for lunches or dinners with my mom's side of the family, and my grandpa, who was one of my biggest supporters. They never missed any of my games. I think it was my sophomore or junior year in high school, my grandpa got diagnosed with cancer. My mom, my sister, and I were at a Brett Eldredge country concert one night, and my mom had known the whole day that my grandpa had gotten the result about his diagnosis, but she wanted us to have one night of just having fun. So she told us in the car, and the next day we went to my grandparents' house for lunch so we could spend time with my grandpa. And we walked into the house, and on their screen glass door of their front door, it said, "In this house we smile." So for my papa, it was a big thing. He didn't want us to worry. It was getting hard for him to kind of get up and move around to come to my game, so it's really obvious when he's not there that I know he's in a lot of pain. He fought pretty hard for a while. It was terminal. He lost his battle, actually it was March 24th, 2020, so right around COVID. We knew what he was going through, but he wanted us to just be happy and enjoy the moments we had left with him. So that sign that says "We smile in this house" that's the handwriting of what's on my wrist. Smiles actually on my glove this year as well. When we got to customize it, it's right on my thumb, so anytime I look down, I see the word smile. So it's kind of a big reminder that just, even when things go bad, just smile, because it'll be okay.
Pain is a lesson, and one unfortunately learned the hard way, and one that can be turned into a desire to do something remarkable.
It's just grown my passion to kind of work alongside people, because my grandpa also had a really fantastic nurse when we were in the hospital, which just like her bedside manner and everything about it was wonderful, and as much pain as he was in, he was as happy as he could have been given his scenario.
I know what my family's gone through. I know what he's probably went through, and that really drives my passion for this cause. And I don't want any other child to go through the same thing he did, especially at such a young age when you have so much more life to live.
Passion is the spark that will make people chase their goals. Goals that are bigger than oneself. Goals that turn into a purpose to make a lasting impact.
Emma and I were a part of this group called Athlete Mentor Program, where we mentored younger athletes wanting to go to college for sports and stuff. And they hooked us up with Greg, who is now our agent for NIL deals and stuff. And he kind of opened our eyes to a lot of different ideas.
When he brought up, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I just want to show people like what I'm passionate about, because I'm more than an athlete. And when I came here, I always thought of myself as a softball player, but Getting here, I realized the amount of passion I have for research and cancer, to the point where I wanted to share that with other people. I wanted to share my story, Hannah's story, and really impact others besides myself.
When you're passionate about something, you have really many different ways that you can express yourself. And you can do it, obviously, outside of your sport as much as you want. But the one thing, if you think about it, that you own on your uniform is your footwear. Obviously, the My Cause, My Cleats has been very successful in the NFL, but it hasn't caught on with college softball. And so the idea was, this is an easy one, guys. We're gonna take your passion and we're gonna put it on your cleats, and people are gonna notice.
We ordered our own cleats and sent them in to the designer. And once we did that, it was kind of like, okay, this is set in stone. And then it was just whether or not they were gonna be able to fulfill the designs that we wanted or chose to have designed on the cleats. We chose a gold Nike sign because that's the childhood cancer ribbon color. And then I designed mine more for my family, so I had ribbons of the cancers that my grandparents had.
I had the gray ribbon with a gray Nike symbol on the other cleat with my Uncle Timmy's name on the bottom because I was playing for him. And then I also had a Bible verse that says, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." I think of cancer as kind of like a weapon. Whether you end up here or not, or with him, I don't think that cancer is any bigger than you are.
I was so impressed by the work that they had done, their passion and the work they had put into the cleats. It takes a special person to be able to take your passion, but then articulate it. I think they have continued to develop as people to understand the power of an athlete, the power of a message, and that's exactly what they're doing now.
We were able to wear our customized cleats last year to raise money for St. Jude's. But St. Jude's is just a hospital that I think does wonderful things. Like, if your child has cancer and needs treatment, they go to St. Jude's and everything's paid for. But also, Emma and I kind of talked about how we're so passionate about this. We don't want it to be about us. We want it to shine light on other things bigger than the game of softball, because there's so many families going through things like this that we just want to help them. We're blessed enough to be able to be healthy enough to play softball, to use something like our name, image, and likeness to shine light on things to help other people. When you look back on this in 10, 20 years, you were able to do what you love and play softball in college, but by doing that with the new NIL things, you're also able to help so many other people's, hundreds of thousands of families, little children, even older generations, but also making a difference now can establish more for the younger generations that are coming up.
Not many people realize how many kids go through this on a daily basis. So just trying to help kids in any way I can. And I want them to experience everything that I have in life. Like, I want them to go to school dances. I want them to get to experience, relationships, connecting with people, going to college. A lot of kids don't get to do that. So just trying to share the kids' stories, share their family stories and what they're going through, I think was going to make a bigger impact in the long run.
I love that Emma and I are able to have the opportunity to use NIL. So it's kind of nice just to be able to put ourselves out there as a college athlete, understanding that we go through struggles as well, but no struggle that we go through is even close to the struggles the families are going through. So knowing that those families have us on our side and we're trying to help.
I want people to take away the fact that they can share their passion on a different level. I never thought that I could be able to do this, but I was blessed enough to be able to, and I think anybody can do the same thing. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story is important.
Don't let pain control your life. But if you turn that pain into passion and find your belonging, maybe that pain had a purpose after all. And in the midst of the joy and sadness throughout your journey, step back, realize where you are, look how far you've come, and smile.
16 of our very own students here in SportsLink went over to Cardiff, Wales just a few months back to tell the stories of the athletes at Cardiff Met University. Produced by Cam Clift, here is a teaser of Transatlantic Storytelling 2024.
You have to seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity.
I don't think I am an inspiration. What's inspiring is anyone that can dedicate themselves to a sport or dedicate themselves to a lifestyle or dedicate themselves to being happy. I think that's inspirational.
There's been so many dark days of my life where I just don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I think sport has given me a life that I never thought I'd live.
Rather than standing downstream, pulling kids out of the water, we're as a collective trying to get upstream, trying to find out why they're falling in.
I feel like my story is not over yet, my story hasn't started yet. I'm going to go and achieve even greater things, and I can't wait to tell people about them.
But when you're thinking about it, you have to see this as an opportunity for all of you.
I think sport is a wonderful thing that can help you find who you are.
It's like a drug to me now. I probably can't live without it, and I probably won't live without it until my body tells me that's time.
That'll wrap up our coverage of SportsLink stories in the year 2023-24. It's been an awesome year, Emma.
Charlie, we are going to miss you so much next year. It's not going to be the same without you, but for more of what you saw today on SportsLink Stories, be sure to follow us on our social media at BSU SportsLink.
A big thank you to all the athletes, the coaches, the support staff for giving us the access and allowing us to tell their stories. A huge thank you to Tristan, Fluhr, Tyler Klimes, Madelyn, Howell, Nate Locker, our entire crew here at SportsLink Stories. That's Emma Potter. I'm Charlie Maurer. This has been the month of May at SportsLink Stories presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. We leave you with a cinematic recap of the 2023-24 season.